These are the monkeys of Planet Zoo, but will I be able to make $1 million using only these furry primates? That means spending hours making amazingly beautiful habitats to get more donations, various money challenges, and increasingly unique and bigger monkeys, making this one of my hardest videos to make. Topping it off with an ultimate final monkey race that will happen for you guys later on. But to get an ultimate monkey money empire, we must first start with nothing. In a perfect sunny plains like this, I set the perfect foundation to start my monkey zoo. That is a plaza set atop an elevated ground. Well, since it's monkeys, I figured our guests have to climb up too. Anyways, with a nice square center, we could make an extension down to make room for our important staff facilities, making sure their negative impact won't reach our guests with this heat map. And of course, start making my money with an information center and a balloon shop to get all the kids' lunch money. Then with the basic layout of our zoo in place, we can start browsing for our first monkey. I look through the Zoopedia, which is the game's book of all animal information, and with this I can see appropriate social needs, terrain needs, and other quirks my monkeys will have to prep for their habitats. And what better option to start with than the Colombian white-faced Capuchin monkey? Is it the stunning fur patterns or playful charisma? Nah, it's just super cheap. We need to save money, people. Then immediately just began building the enclosure, starting with the Capuchin's hard shelter, with walls, then a roof over it, and connected it to a habitat gate to then create a monkey-proof, non-climbable barrier around it, and some one-way glass so our guests can sort of look down into it later on. And I forgot I need me some staff. But first a work zone, which basically covers what our soon-to-be staff can access in the zoo. I combined the whole zoo into one, naming it Monkey Millionaires. I'm manifesting, okay? And 4 of the super duper essential staffs to kickstart our zoo, which I assigned to the work zone. But let's cut all that serious talk, it's monkey time. With the Capuchins in, my monkey army is slowly growing. But before you see my other monkey champions, I want to tell you where else you can find the coolest champions. A free-to-play adventure you can play both on your mobile phones or your PC. With 800 infinitely unique champions, you can upgrade and customize any way that brain of yours can imagine. And while I usually wait for my zoo to get crowded, I take on various different dungeons and their awesome bosses, jumping into intense PvP arena battles, or try out the current coolest winter champions for my squad, like Lucia Soul Guide with its royally stunning design and freeze-coded attacks, or even Sir Nicholas himself as an unstoppable winter champion, with the most incredible battle animations, and honestly I'm just in love with the Conqueror Santa design. That's right, I'm talking about Raid Shadow Legends. Come on, what better time to play the game with the Cursed City update having over 100 terrifying stages to complete, challenging yourself to defeat 2 raid bosses at the same time, working your way up to my favorite part of the game, which is getting my hands on rare items like the mythical champions, and the reward-filled Christmas story event up until 10th of January, where you can win from insane legendary champions up to real Amazon gift cards. So what are you waiting for? Head to raidmus.plarium.com, click the link in my description or scan my QR code and earn the best rewards like this epic champion Drake, because you know I like my creatures. And with all that sweet champions, come join the Keeling army. Join my clan, be a part of my force. But for now, back to the monkeys. With the min, I can see what terrain distributions they need, which before adding natural humps and divots into the land, I like a big structure like this. I painted the area down with soil to simulate the undergrowth of a rainforest, putting another layer of grass on certain spots, which you'll see why. Then after playing around with a selection of tall and handsome tropical trees, I continued to the rocks. I wanted 2 sides of a more gravelly rundown playground part of their homes and a more greener planted area, adding more and more tropical decorations. I'm satisfied with this blend of bushes, but not without a monkey playground. I started with the foundations of wood structures, that one's for food, and connected them through a series of logs and wooden poles. Then slowly the playground is taking its form as I put some vines and made a cozy little monkey nest atop the hill, and I called it done. Remember, there will be a monkey derby race in the end where I'll bet all my money, and each of our monkeys will race on an intense monkey themed course you won't believe. So right now I have to make sure they can't escape until then with this map. Then with people already coming in, let's put a generous amount of donation boxes to and hypnotize them with my cute money makers, who seem pretty happy in their new homes. Look at them bouncing around. What's up, buddy? Are you trying to say thank you? Oh. But money. Our donations are coming in pretty hot, and there are side challenges we could make money from too. To boost it even further, I set up drinks for sale by the entrance. Fruit smoothies to be on theme. Excuse me, I tripped. And what? Capuchin babies already? My jolly, you are so small. Anyways, we are still maintaining a stream of profits, so time to expand into the next part of our zoo. And maybe this time I'll pick a kinder, happy looking monkey for the kids. Something that will make them relax and... Mandrills. I'm getting nervous. And before I built an intricate habitat for one of the coolest and intimidating monkeys in the game, I put some water and power treatment facilities. Why you ask? Because after building a little shelter and null barriers around it, where I could establish a habitat but can also fill the barrier as my creative juices desires, I dug out a big boy hole around where I wanted the habitat to be and filled it with water. Wet. Already needing to repair the Capuchins' barriers and watch over them in the rain, I need to quickly make moolah out of my mandrills. So I sprayed a nice blend of dirt, sand, and stone, with them being from Central Africa, and the tradition of rocking up the place. Why are you so lonely? I forgot to tell you, I put a few healthy female mandrills in already. Anyways, I started sculpting up a few rock mountains, and come on, look how sexy they look. Gradiently weathered down into smaller rocky rubbles to the side, which the mandrills had happily turned into their monkey playground. Of logs and ropes, I connected into each wooden pole. I couldn't stop. I love adding into their wood paradise. But followed by a backdrop of tropical tamarind trees, other nature stuff, and the papa mandrill entering. Oh my god, so menacing. The morning sunrise shined upon a finished mandrill haven. Gosh, the attention it's getting. Donation boxes now. And boosting education using boards like this is also important as it encourages crowds to donate more. And I've been doing vet researches, which also unlocks education and animal toys for the same reasons. But our guests are getting fussy, and we can't ignore them. I took to offering benches and bins all around, with trash being a bit of a problem. More food options to get the sales up, and a big toilet. Look at this Capuchin love triangle. And I wonder if I can sell the babies. Anyways, to make better viewing for our mandrills, I added fences so little Jimmy here won't fall in and die. And our first ever inspection report, well, can be a lot better, but there's still so much ahead of us, my monkeys. And after that's all done, I added a bunch of conservation boards promoting things like climate change and more to pretty much boost our poo-poo education. Then at the darkness of night, something beautiful is about to happen. Baby mandrill, Jabari. Quite small, but I see a warrior inside this guy. Like father, like son. So I fit in some enrichment items for the newly born to play around and feed the family. I quickly looked into the guest overview, and there are a few complainers. But they won't know my next habitat would be one of my best habitats to date. But for now, they wanted drinks too and have problems with my litter. Then I quickly jumped into our next monkey, where I wanted to keep the tropical scenery perfect for the Siamang and Lar Gibbon, actually native to my home country Indonesia, while also trying an inward glass viewing section where the guests can feel like they're going into the woods. So into creating an interspecies habitat I go. With a curved wood pathing and some one-way glass around it, I built around high habitat walls contrasted with the large pit I dug down. After cleaning it down, adding this improvised arch, and giving personality to the ground floor, I bought pairs of some very healthy Indonesian Siamang and Gibbons, cozied up their home a little, and introduced them into the scape. Watch him go! Look how happy he is. But it's time to cover the tree canopy with tall kapok trees and strangler figs, and slowly coat the surface with its stony backdrop and sprinkles of dirt where the monkeys will play around. Then the rest was just setting the tropical rocks into the nooks and crannies and sprouting a large climbable structure, especially for these treetop primates. Which is the most tedious thing to figure out, by the way, but I kinda aced it with the vines and ropes. With the final platform in place, I wrapped this present of a habitat with the final bushes around the forest floor and scaffolding. Also some tree log borders over the top of the viewing section alongside Gibbon and Siamang signs all over. It is basically done. Look at them. I think good contesters for our final race. Now a glorious chunk of rainforest right in my zoo, and it's gonna make me so much money. What the? My money makers, come back! I mean safety, yes. The monkeys being under the habitat somehow considers it an escape. So I stopped my little tunnelers by rocking out the space, and quickly the guests are telling me the ticket prices are underpriced. Happily, don't mind if I do. You guys earned your treasures, but you better make me more money. Also, the keepers apparently haven't been feeding the capuchins, and now there are protesters. Protesters are bad. Look, they take our money. So to make up for it, I decorate the rest of our zoo, putting trees and just a slice of pretty bushes for our guests, and some monkey statues of course, as well as complete our entrance plaza with more food options and cupcakes that I shamelessly decorated all monkey-esque. I love monkeys. Nothing to start year 6 with only $40,000 and $960,000 to go, but you'll see much cooler money makers later on. I set up this viewing dome entrance feature that I decorated and labeled that goes straight into the Siamang and Gibbons. Look at those weirdos watching him drink. Awkward. But hey, at least our inspection reports are getting way better, and I added vending machines around to celebrate and boost profits too, with some rewards from challenges. And don't judge me, okay, I need this. I did a few things for the zoo. Let's see here. I introduced the hunka male gibbon for our lone female. So manly. Our capuchin babies are still defying the laws of gravity. The viewing dome is becoming a pretty big attraction. Also started placing a bunch of habitat cameras in all our enclosures as it increases marketing ratings, which equals more cha-chings. Look at all the angles I'll be getting now. More drinks, monkey lovey head rubs. Now dance! Even started a marketing campaign for my zoo in a late night talk show commercial. Imagine watching your TV and you see, but that should increase our guest flow. I had some educational speakers placed around our habitats viewing points to increase education. Also spent money to train each of my staff so they become so strong and I don't have to spend hiring anymore. To top it all off, a little old park with benches and hot dogs to squeeze more money out of, satisfy my loyal customers, of course. Well, seems like our zoo is doing well making money, and one very sweaty guest is already checking out the path to our next habitat. The Proboscis Monkey. They're a type of Bornean monkey that has an questionable nose. Their colors are so golden and their postures are just... Anyways, they're funny looking and can also be found in Indonesia, so I wanted to make them a more interesting habitat. I laid out a small wooden path into the main paths and built them a tiny little home before using null barriers to create a simple square, and ended up with this. Inspired by hypothetically Jay's build, I want to create a walk-in path through this wire mesh enclosure and a mystery glass structure atop it that I made with glass and window panes. What is it for? Well, I first dug out the center part of the landscape for more depth and outlined the rock over the slope. I went on it till the morning. With climbable logs, I then made a makeshift ladder on both sides of the glass bridge, making a sort of walkway in between two sides of the enclosure. After the rock is settled, proboscis monkeys also hang around coastal forests, so I wanted to make a coastal part of the habitat to hang around. But before that, making out the climbing area for my nosy friends using my usual monkey playground formula. But just you wait what the more interesting monkeys later on in the video will get. Even a little hut right in the middle of the enclosure, making sure all their needs are met inside the shelter to keep those nose babies plump. Right now, I can only afford one male. But no way guys, look, we have reached our first $100,000. And that means finding new ways to scale my profits. But in the meantime, I had my first Mr. Proboscis man put into its new home. And he was ecstatic, and apparently has the ability to go through walls. I'll name him after my friend, Wang. On the other side, our Mandrills hasn't been out of luck making baby drills. And Wang is scaring our guest, because apparently the game thinks the bridge is outside the habitat. I know, I'm just as confused as you are. But first, the coasts. I ladled a section with a generous pour of sand and some rock details and mud to go along it. Doing the same for the main side of the enclosure to get a natural look. I added some mangroves and fit the roots into some sturdy boulders. Hope the monkey liked the bask. Then went about trying out trees for the main side. I wanted one side more treeful than the playground and got to a formation I liked. After a while, it came together pretty easily. People starting to get some interest, I see. Anyways, what's left is really just polishing up the whole habitat well until it's going to look like this. A few on both sides, look as pretty as ever. And a clear view of our proboscis as he goes over. Even got people to ask to make the zoo tickets more expensive again. But well, the problem with the bridge, yes. I tried so many things, but the only solution ended up being putting guest gates into the path, paving the roads and polishing it up as I go. Then finally, even with power problems, I get to put in the money makers and the proboscis home is finally done. Year 9, and we're already starting to make more cash. And we're at a guest level of 1,200. Ooh, what monkey will I make a habitat for here? Anyways, we really have to get the guest numbers up, so why wait to make my most guest interactive enclosure ever? I started with the foundations and quickly made an omega size area as a habitat. The entrance for this environment will be a habitat gate. And similar to the previous proboscis home, I laid down a wood path going through the enclosure. And I want it bigger. This place is going to be divided into 3. A wooded structure over a water body that I'm carving out as we speak, a playground to play around, and a large rocky structure. And after meticulously fencing every corner of the path, the easiest is to start with the large structures to build around, the rocky structure. With that done and all diddly, I put out some tree logs that will be the footing to our playground, but wanted to start with the lake cabin first, after rocking up the pond to my heart's content. Atop the water, I went through a few wood homes that I later laced with a bunch of things to climb. Same goes for our tree logs that I made into a recreational monkey course. I used these special effects to simulate water rushing down, pretty, and in the night added more structures for our residents to fly through the scape. And how could I forget to introduce you? Our soon-to-be residents will be the ring-tailed lemurs, black and white ruffed lemur, and the red-furred lemurs. An army of agile and cunning lemurs, and yes, all living together and also perfect for the monkey derby race later on. And I know you're all thinking about King Julian. Oh, and I forgot I bought Wang a wife, Diana, and they are romancing by the beach already. I bought the lemurs I can, and with them in, I can tree the place up and paint over the terrain like usual. This time I wanted a more tropical look, so I glittered some rhubarb and tamarind trees for color, and go off that with further teeny decorations on the side. Look at people dying to enter, and for very good reason. Now it's time for the grand opening. I invested more money into training my staff, added enrichment items for our lemurs, and got ourselves the rest of our beautiful, beautiful lemurs. Look at you! A butt sniffer, I see. Little did I know this enclosure will soon be the most problematic enclosure I have. Alright, what are you doing? I set the necessary education boards and donation bins, making sure people keep quiet too. And maybe this ambient speaker will help. Not calming at all. But anyways, it's time to open. Yes, give me my money. As I decorated the entrance to attract more guests, and a board to showcase my animals. That's another 3 monkeys checked off the list. Wait, look at this little dude. Okay, what was that? Finally a pretty good standing to our monkey zoo for the time being. And we've been blessed by a few new babies too, like little Wang babies, and the Siamangs too. 2 of them. Our monkey researches have been progressing pretty fast, and I went about fixing damaged properties of my zoo, setting up more shops, and paved out some roads that I dotted with more food options and decorations to urge people to come to this side of the zoo. And more decorations. Look at this monkey discussion. And basically more conservation boards alongside habitat cameras in our newer habitats, which would not only encourage more donations, but also attract more guests. See ya making money moves. In time for some new staff, I hired a mechanic and underwent another training for all our other staff. It's like I'm building a real zoo. My god, I'm doing maintenance. In the brighter side of our pretty zoo taking shape with seats and more facilities, our lemurs on the side had been struggling a lot finding a place to hide. I made new homes for them, but honestly with the amount of crowd loving the enclosure, it's kinda crazy. I can't even set educational speakers because Susan here brought a family of 50 who litter quite a lot throughout the zoo. I'll just tell you right now, this is a never-ending problem. But continue checking in on our guests, and appropriate additions like bins and caretakers for trash problems, and more food sections to saturate the nearing 2,000 guests. Oh yeah, and also baby King Julian. Ew. And without knowing it, another milestone, baby. $200,000. But now it just means I have to get to 500,000 faster. How will I do that? Well, it won't be that easy with the protest against the lemurs. Our other monkeys seem pretty fine, and the educational content for the guests seem to mask the depressed lemurs in the back. Okay, this guy won't drink my pristine lake water, so I'll just have to spoiled. Another problem is heat, and our guests can't swing against the breeze like our monkeys do, so I set coolers all over the zoo to cool them down a bit, to relax their wallets too. But it's time to pull out the big guns. I wanted another high top viewing gallery, so I got this balcony made. Sweet, right? And a 2-story shelter mansion to get that castle look to house our deserved Japanese macaques, which I bought a healthy pair of. I took a little inspo and made this long hut for our lemurs too. Maybe that'll help. Please, I'm out of options. Anyways, with the barrier and sort of crater shape and lake terrain, I started lining it to get a man-made looking rock feel, if not distracted by our mandrills fighting. Oh my, Rafiki from Lion King chill. I had to store him for a minute. But rocks, yes. I wanted to make an oriental Japanese pool that looks natural, and after a while I think I got one that looks pretty decent. I did the same for the lake, even adding a little mulch patch to a small island I got planned for later. Then I added some water taps and played around with the water selection tool where you can add mist and change color. Now I have a hot spring. With the nest all made, I put our unique Japanese friends into their new homes. The Japanese macaques, also known as the snow monkey, lives in the cold regions feeding on fruit, seeds, and young leaves. So let's start the habitat with coolers, bringing it down to freezing temperatures. And tested the snow painting tool before deciding a solid snow layer is better. And adding other patches I want structure in. Structure that takes form of thick bushes hugging over standing statues, and the many trees of calm green colors to sunset orange, some ivy on the walls, and with bushes glazing the sleeping rocks, the habitat will now only be missing its wooden course our monkeys can jump around. And with everything else set to the viewing section, the habitat is now done. Just wait till the morning to see it in its beauty. Oh, I also added some red-crowned cranes to give life to the lakes. None of you complained. And while training the rest of my staff, I can't believe that we scaled to $500,000 combined from all the new shops and new monkeys looking pretty for the moneymakers. So I kept up with the usual zoo chores. I can't catch a break. And our ticket prices has increased to such a big number because people just love my habitat, guys. But I need more. I started a restaurant to serve more food and witnessed our first snow baby born in water. And we've got a little climber. Wait, what in the KFC fried chicken is that? Shizu, our baby crane, is taking its first dip in the spring. You like him, right? Give me money. I repaired most of the vandalized stuff in my zoo, and it's a sad day to witness our first death in this monkey paradise. Wang's wife Diana lived a peaceful life in the zoo and passed by old age. In memoriam, I built a garden in her name for our staff facilities, which also boosts scenic value, therefore efficiency. Rest in peace, Diana. I continued expanding my zoo, even made this, mandrill rock, and it's nearing the times of the monkey derby race, and our final few inspection reports remain consistent. Well, who would have thought that the orangutan, native to Indonesia and truly just iconic, is compatible with the Siamang and Gibbon. But right now, they're just extremely expensive and I can't afford them, so let's start making the orangutan extension first, shall we? Finally, we can introduce the monkey himself. The orangutan, meaning man of the forest, deserved his throne. And I let time grew by until... It is time for the Monkey Derby race. In this event, a representative of each of our monkeys will go through a series of intense, dangerous, and complex challenges. And we'll see who amongst our monkeys will win and become the champion. Maybe even a new challenger. But before I show you the course and bet all my money, I look back into my zoo. Expanded the lemur habitat to an ungodly size to tackle the hiding problem. Our baby crane was rushed to the vet clinic for an unknown disease. And Wang had just missed the race and died of old age. But don't worry, we have his son to represent his legacy. Our capuchins had a population boom and their colonies as fruitful as ever. Our fan favorite tropical treetops is still stable, the orangutan defying gravity too. Our lemurs also a hot topic destination for our guests, followed by the serene grace of our Japanese habitat. We are at almost 300 guests, passing $750,000 to our name with ease. And as a rainstorm sets and all our monkeys cozied into their hides, gathering over food and snuggling up, we watch as our money goes closer and closer to our ultimate final goal. But before we know if we succeeded, let the race commence. While I move the monkeys to the starting line, let me show you the race. Firstly, they will be met with a complex maze and mess of platforms and logs they have to figure out and climb, where they'll be later guided into a test of endurance and patience in the form of string of ropes. Then a water break, of course, I'm not a monster, followed by a sacred crickety bridge zigzag to mess with the monkey's sense of direction. Only then where they'll experience the hardest part of the race, the land of temptations, a barrage of toys, resting grounds, and treats to convince and distract them to stay. Only the strong-willed will have the courage to continue to the dangerous vines, stalked by a floor of deadly spikes. After that, a final stretch to reveal who our final champion will be. So let's get right to the race. Firstly, introducing our Derby exclusive monkey, the lowland gorilla, for a new dynamic in the race. And the others are rolling in. A pair of gibbons already scoping out the beginning of the course. We have the Japanese macaque hissing its battle cries. On the side, the ring-tailed lemurs bask in the sun, revealing his glorious the Siamangs and the army of Capuchins. And a pair of mandrills already fighting from the start. The orangutan don't really care. I'll be betting all my money on the Redford lemur. Without further ado, remove the barriers and the race begins. Quickly, the gibbons already previously scouting took to the obstacle, finding and climbing all the right poles up to the top, and his friend behind him followed his steps. We have our first monkey on the lead. Look at him go. But who's that? The sly ring-tailed lemur is quick on their tail, or butts. But our gibbons are far into the ropes. Intense. But the ring-tailed lemur took second place. Behind, the much sturdier, powerful Siamangs finally figured out the wooden mess and made their way down to the ropes. A Redford lemur copying their moves from behind. Our first gibbon is met with a sacred bridge. A little scared, his hesitation has allowed the ring-tailed lemur to catch up. Come help your brother. The rope is too difficult to run for some Siamangs, allowing the Capuchins and Macaques to catch up. The big boys are, well, having a bit of trouble, with some still resting up before competing. But look who's entering the land of temptations. They are in awe, and even the motivated Redford lemur submitted. They rested, but wait, is someone pulling through? His strong will pushed him out of temptations for a bit, and he attempts for the vines. Oh no, not yet. The vines are not stable enough for his comfort. My gosh, look at them. And the Siamangs met the same fate. This can be anyone's game, but a little curiosity sparks. He sprinted through the vines, closing in on the hesitating Redford lemur. But again, the spikes were just too much. Looking back, wait, how'd you get there? Anyways, the mandrills and macaques seem content with the ropes. And the big boys, yeah, you guys got this. And of course, we still got one lazy pooper. Back to the top. Surprisingly, a black and white lemur caught on out of nowhere. And now our three lemurs are at the top. But quickly, they circled back to the toys to rethink, whereas the gibbons had all the rest they needed and they took to exploring. Not quite the easy route they expected. Back to a nice warm bed they go. Once again for the black and white lemur pushing through, but just as he was about to finish, the uncertainty over the edge. What will he do? He goes back. But the gibbon did not stop testing the course, going further each time. And in a moment of rain, where most had given up, the Siamangs took a chance and scouted first, closer. But again, not yet. Up until the morning, the Siamangs still had no courage to push through the final vine. The sprinkles again? Really? The destination is right here, and they'll have to pass the final wall of death, too. The morning has brought hope, and once again, the contenders challenged the vines. It seemed, as a matter of fact, that the ropes had collected the most failures, and I was starting to lose hope until... No hesitation. This is the furthest anyone had gone, and... he did it. Oh my god. Will he be able to pass the terrifying wall of death? Of course he can. It's just one final stretch and... the gibbon wins, the champion of the Monkey Derby race. Soon after, his brother caught along to share the throne, and to the third place, after a victorious post-vine poop, goes to the ring-tailed lemur. The race is done. We have my Redford lemur going in 4th place, others failing like this guy. What are you looking at? And the last chapter of our monkey zoo has come to an end. I took everyone back to their respective habitats, and look to see we've made over $1 million using only monkeys in my zoo, completing our ultimate goal. We made a beautiful, striking zoo, and I totally did not lose any money in the monkey race bet. Congrats to the gibbons, and tell me which habitats you like the most. Now I'll be running away from the betting taxman with my $1 million. Psst, and don't forget to use my Raid Shadow Legends link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses for new players like an epic champion Drake. It's so worth it, trust me. Thank you for watching.
Team, 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 ling.